Good morning and welcome to Breakfast Extra. It is Sunday. And before we get into the meat of today's conversation, I want to ask, how are you? Really? I don't mean the polite Nigerian answer of, they manage. I mean deep down when you are alone. Perhaps not. But thinking of your pocket, your plate, your spirit, your life, how are you? Because if you've been following the news lately, you'll notice a strange contradiction. On one hand, we see our president flying around the world, hopping from one summit to another, while here at home, senators are calling for another increase in their already bloated salaries and allowances. And then there's you, the average Nigerian, grappling with a minimum wage that still hovers around 70,000 to 100,000 naira, depending on which state you live in. Think about it. A senator's wardrobe allowance alone surpasses what many civil servants take home in a year. Yet, when the government talks about expanding the tax net and raising revenue, who ends up feeling the burden? The common man buying gari at the market, the commuter paying transport fare, the shopkeeper struggling to keep the lights on. Let's run the maths together. If the state insists on squeezing every kobo, every penny out of the ordinary Nigerians, the returns can never match what we could be saving. If office holders simply trimmed their excesses, prudent governance could raise more than taxing sachet water, phone calls, or even petrol. But prudence, it's not a word our politicians are fond of. Instead, what we get is a pattern, one that feels like punishment disguised as reform. Remember May 2023? Subsidy gone, petrol jumped overnight from under 200 naira to nearly 1,000 naira in some states. By 2024, electricity tariffs followed suit, climbing like bridge from 68 naira per kilowatt to over 225 naira for band A customers. Hello, Lucky. Cooking gas went up by 50%. Food inflation soared to nearly 41%. Tomatoes, our humble stew partner, shot up over 300%. School fees, passport fees, rent, everything climbed up. Nigerians have been in a non-stop rally, a race with inflation. But somehow the government keeps adding hurdles. And now, another suggestion, a 5% surcharge on petrol. I know. We're told it's to boost revenue, stabilize the system, and fund infrastructure. But timing matters, humanity matters. Nigerians are still gasping from the last round of increases, and here comes another one. Let's take a short walk through the timeline. May 2023, subsidy removed, fuel skyrockets. 2024, electricity tariffs jumps, food prices surge, passport and tuition fees. Let's not even talk, the passport says no come with visa. 2025, tax reforms expand, the net, some levies suspended, but more burdens introduced. Now talks of a fresh petrol tax. At what point do we pause and ask, can Nigerians breathe? Because reforms without empathy are just numbers on paper. Nigeria is not just a balance sheet to fix, it's people. People trying to stretch 5,000 naira to feed a family of 5. Can't even feed one person. People who don't get wardrobe allowances, extra code, or first-class tickets abroad. So as senators call for more pay and the president keeps flying, let me ask you from the bottom of my heart, to every viewer this morning, how you did? How are you really? And with that I say, good morning again. My name is Queen Celestine and this is Breakfast Extra. And it cannot be Breakfast Extra without my co-host, Mazino Appeal. Mazino, good morning.
I'm humbled. great monologue there. But
how are you?
I was going to ask you, how are you, Queen?
I'm hanging in there.
We all are. Every single Nigerian, we all are. But then again, hey, what can I say? I wish I could say that I'm doing good, but nah.
Hang in there.
I've been waiting since 2023, since after. We're still hanging in here. And
well,
yeah,
let's see what today's conversation brings.
Exactly. So come on over, please.
Good morning.
Morning. Hey, welcome to Breakfast Extra here for a, well, grand Sunday morning. And of course, it's going to be a very interesting one as we're going to be taking a look at very interesting details that have happened from through the week. In Kaduna, former Governor Nasir El-Rufai and opposition leaders have been invited by police after violence broke out at a rally, raising fresh questions about security and also political tension. And of course, we also have a further conversation regarding a News Central exclusive 60 Minutes with Mr. K, where we had the interview with the CDS, that is Christopher Musa, and plenty was discussed inside of that conversation. So today we're going to be taking a review with some of our analysts. Also making the rounds through last week and the buzz on social media was the case of a Nigerian migrant through Libya who came back to tell about her harrowing tale, and also with a warning to any Nigerian thinking of taking that route through to immigrate. She says, don't do it. Well, we'll have her and also an authority to talk about the dangers of going through such routes to try and get outside of Nigeria. There's plenty to talk about here inside of Breakfast Extra for a Sunday edition, and this morning a very interesting strip edition. If you stick around, you'd find out who we have, a very special guest joining us. But then let's take the dailies this morning as we see what the front pages have for us. Queen Celestine, what are you expecting to find on the pages of the papers?
Hopefully good news.
No, never happens. If it was good, it wouldn't be published. That's the problem with bad news. You see, it sells, unfortunately. But I'd like to say that on Breakfast Extra, we have a very interesting service that we give. Because unlike other news programs, we always, serve it with a bit of I don't know what to call it now, humor, I guess. But let's do the Nation newspaper for starters. Do you want to begin, or should I?
You begin.
All right, grand, I will. Front and center for the Nation this morning, why we're yet to accord ADC recognition, says INEC, says party yet to communicate report on NEC meeting, ratifying new leadership. And yeah, that is true. Mark Aregbesola failed to submit specimen signature. So yes, so this is the thing I keep telling people about the ADC. Personally, as a press man, I also have these very interesting takes on it, and one of it is that they are not yet structured. They have it's a
coalition.
Yeah, there's due process that needs to be taken. So right now, exactly, it's just a coalition, just like you said. At the top of the nation, Boko Haram kills 63 in Borno. Troops launch nationwide offensive and ground air assault. Eliminate 30 terrorists in Borno, and 5% surcharge on fuel not intended to add to hardship, says Oyedele. You're going to have to tell us exactly how that's not going to add to hardship, because Nigerians are groaning over everything currently. Tinubu's vacation governance not grinding to a halt, APC tells Obi, because Obi actually told that, hey, you're doing a bit too much of these, and there was some speculation about it being a health vacation. But let's leave it at that.
Yes. Even
presidents need breaks too. Enugu government accuses Sujimoto of premeditated fraud. Writer here says suspect absconded after collecting 5.7 billion naira as mobilization.
Interesting.
Photo story here. Protesters boo Obi for bringing El-Rufai to Owerri. Ex-LP presidential candidate falls ill, suspends engagements. I think there's more than meets the eye to this headline.
There's always...
And I'm wondering what it might be. We wait to see. I'm sure there's plenty coming
Well,
on that.
let's check what the Punch says.
All right.
It says, fuel marketers beg Tinubu to avert Monday strike. And you can find that on page 3. That's NUPENG versus Dangote. And it says, looming danger must be stopped, says Patron Ipman. Nigerian workers cannot be abused without consequences. That's from NLC. Above it, it says UK removal threats. Nigerian students scramble for work visa. This is quite terrifying, isn't it? Beside it, it says death for preaching. Mother rejects 5 million after Cross River police killed son.
Oh, sad.
Sad. Beside it, Fulbara support base warns ahead of 11-day return, and that you find on page 3. And ESCOs reveals Nasara Oshun escaped inmate identity. And below it says how social media agents traffic Nigerian girls into Saudi slave trade. Lagos residents drown in soaring rent and weak housing policy.
Oh, do you want to stop and talk about that for a second regarding the rent issues in Lagos? It's going up.
It is alarming.
It's alarming here. I got an increase in my rent, but I do have a very nice landlord, so I'm not going to. I'm not gonna.
Hello, landlord. Be nice to us.
Yeah, well, he's nice, so I would pay the extra. But everybody's experiencing an increase in their rents in Lagos. I saw this coming, whether you like it or not. It was definitely going to happen because of the economy. Now that this is happening, imagine everything else going up in price.
It's crazy.
And yet we're expecting 5% surcharge on petrol again come 2026. Speculatively.
Well,
what else do you have on that page?
And it says exposed Lagos supermarkets selling expired groceries to shoppers. I think I need to teach people when you go to the supermarket, what they do is when it's closer to expiration date, they put it in front.
Oh.
So if you're buying in bulk, you should try to check. If you know that you're not going to use it for the next 3 months, 6 months, then try to look at the back. But if you know you're just going to use it and you know it's expiring in the next 3 months or 4 months, then it's fine to take the front. But it's always
they
good.
just put front row, so you're grabbing it first.
Yes, you
Interesting.
always take it.
I'm being told that we are going to be moving from this segment real quick to our next segment. We'll have a very interesting strip happening this morning. So I'm just going to go take position already. And guess what? We have a guest joining us to help analyze the strip. So let's get started, shall we? Welcome. It's time for the strips for a Sunday and a very special edition because today we have a cartoonist joining us, an editorial cartoonist and a journalist. He was with us yesterday and we made him promise to join us today. It's Mustafa Bulama, and he draws for Daily Trust. You're welcome, Bulama. It's grand. I'm excited that you're here because we do your strips every single time here, and I think that, well, I guess you're one of my favorites. But thank you for joining us this morning.
Having me.
Grant, thank you. Now, Grant, we're going to be starting with the strip, so they're going to appear here, and then we'll do this together. And maybe sometimes we'll pull in my partner, Queen. Now, for the very first one, let's take a look at this. Now, Bulama, we've been having issues inside of the PDP lately with them talking about their NEC meeting are coming come November. But just before that, we've been noticing that there are people loyal to the FCT minister who have been, well, honestly, stating facts that the party should go through due process, but it seems like it is also acting to destabilize the party. Here, let's take a look at this cartoon here. Hey folks, we promise more confusion and drama come 2027, holding the tattered umbrella of the PDP, but riding the broom, which seems to be... What did you think about this?
Yeah, I think it's an awesome cartoon on Business Day, I believe.
Yes, Business Day. It's a super. It's Okpara rather, Okpara. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I can't really say what's going on in the head of the cartoonist when he did this, but you can obviously see that it's not something kind of positive to me. It seems there's something fishy about to happen. Yeah, because you can see why. I think this is this witchy? Oh, with a broom.
Hey. Oh, exactly.
Being depicted, yeah.
Okay.
Like a witch.
Exactly. Take note of the hat there, like the Wicked Witch from the West.
Yes.
Or Wizard of Oz. I don't know. Queen, what do you think?
It's definitely confusion, being a witch and trying to put two parties that we know are having issues together. So like Bulama mentioned, if that's Wike, of course, you say Wike is PDP, but, you know, he's working with our president who's APC. And of course, I feel like the umbrella is the whole situation happening now with the whole PDP and Wike asking for the 6-point demand. So it's going to be chaotic. So
it is already chaotic. And even if, you know what, we're trying to manage time, so we're going to speed on to our very next one. So hang in there. Let's take our very next one. Now, this is a 2-for-1 because I think there's another picture that also supports it. I can't remember the paper that's from. But this is yours. This is yours, isn't it? Do you want to talk us through your cartoon, Bulama, please?
Okay. Well, for this particular one, I was looking at the justice system in Nigeria because, you know, if you consider the time frame, Simon Ekpa was arrested and then taken to court, and the case and everything, you know, just within 3 months, and everything was done. And in our own case, you think about maybe Dasuki, for example. He's been in and out of court since Buhari's administration. Still, the case is not over. Namdi Kanu, the same thing. Chukwurumamu, the same thing, and a lot of other cases like that. Sometimes we even forget about the cases. We forget that these cases are even going on because it just takes so long. So this cartoon is just depicting the justice system as a snail, moving slowly, taking its time. And,
indeed.
Only God knows, you know, it will take us another 20 years before maybe we get to the end of the case.
And you pictured it very nicely.
A critique of the justice system.
You pictured it very nicely, very correctly. I think there's another picture that also does that. Now, this is from Business Day again, and I'm trying to see who the artist is. I can't, there's no, okay, yeah, this is Asuko. Now, this is Asuko's own rendition of your the situation you were trying to paint. And there you can see in Finland, here you can see in Nigeria, out justice, injustice. Out justice sticks 3 months, injustice, well, it's been a long
few years.
There's also another interesting thing about this cartoon, because if you look at the other panel where Nnamdi Kanu is, you find out that half of the top is in prison while the bottom is in court. And so one leg in, one leg out kind of.
It's very interesting that you're a cartoon, so you notice that, and I can see the people all behind, and I'm interpreting this as the public jury, you know, because we're always so involved in it.
Oh, yeah.
They let us know, sentiments rise, you know, it's a big deal. So could we have our justice presented to us in, well, as swift as possible? That's the question. What's wrong with the Nigerian justice system?
Swift, clean, you know, straight to the point. But, you know, I don't know, maybe a lot of politics, a lot of interest, maybe, I wouldn't, maybe incompetence would be too strong a word, but, you know, these are some of the things that are happening, you know, bedeviling the justice system. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah,
we just need to,
it's subject to interpretation. Queen, what did you think?
Well, to be fair, it's actually right that, you know, it takes so long for justice to be served. Just like the young boy we saw from the East that was carried into prison and then he was there for 10 years for no reason, a minor. It's crazy. It took 10 years to find that boy out. You know, there are other people out there, so I feel like it's something we need to look into because it doesn't make any sense to me. Okay.
Well, I hear what you're saying there regarding how critical they should be and don't rush the process. But however, it takes I get you, but I don't agree with you somehow. Now, let's take a look at this one. Democracy, dogs barking. We're running away from that. This is yours again, Mustafa Bulama. So talk us through this. Who are we looking at there over the fence? Who are we looking at here running away from the dogs? Oh, the police and thugs. The police and thugs are working hand in hand. Talk us through this.
Yeah, you know, in the past week or so, in Kaduna, we've had the ADC being attacked, you know, in their while having their meetings and so on by thugs. And then the last incident was the police coming to stop them from having their meetings, which is a constitutional right. They are not committing any crime. Freedom of assembly, freedom of association, and all of that. So they came in and they basically stopped everything. So this has been something that a lot of maybe people in power from time to time use. State apparatus and all sorts of means to actually frustrate the opposition. So basically here I'm trying to just show the police and the thugs are being used as attack dogs, while Rufai is talking about democracy. Of course, you can't have such a thing in a democracy. So he's trying to use democracy to fight them. But at the same time, over the fence, you have someone who is peeping and looking and laughing. Many reasons, because there are speculations that these people are being sponsored by the government. The thugs and even the police are being sent by the government. But you see, these are speculations. So you cannot, unless you have proof that this is exactly the case.
I have a question for you.
I'm sure the Kaduna State government is happy that the ADC is not able to do its own.
I always wonder how much liberty you can take as a cartoonist when you depict these characters. Do you ever get into any trouble when you so depict a character that it's almost like accurate? Is there a line that you mustn't cross when you're drawing these characters? Like I noticed that there is a bit of skepticism actually absolutely telling who the characters are. So what gives them?
Yeah, actually, you see, editorial cartoons are actually opinions, right? And we all have freedom of opinion. So basically, but before, as a cartoonist, before you come up with an opinion, you have to obviously know what the issue is. So you have to do your research, you have to read the stories and all of that and understand what people are saying and what's your own take on the situation. So basically, this is my own take, that these people are, being somehow pushed by the government. If we cannot say that directly because we don't have evidence, that is why. Because if for example, we had evidence that this is actually the situation, probably I would have drawn the dogs and the Kaduna State government in a more direct way.
Well, thank you. Absolutely. So thank you for settling that. Now I understand why you guys do that. Very interesting. Let's talk about this one from Business Day again, and this is Okpara once again. Let's talk about democracy as it really affects us domestically, or rather diplomacy as it really affects us domestically. What I see here is someone trying to depict the president, but with the president's stance on anti-corruption, it doesn't seem like as if, well, that's what's happening. So that character there that looks like the devil with three horns seems to be the spirit, the real spirit of Nigeria, which is the corruption that is so entrenched in us. It's like a part of us. It's like a spirit. There you have it. Diplomacy outside, we're anti-corruption. We're going to try and take care of this. This is what we say. And I think that's depicted here by this flag, because it seems like it's an international stage and we're telling the world we are anti-corruption. However, domestically at home, we dine, we sleep, we live with this attribute that is Nigerian, and that's corruption itself. Queen, let me have your take first.
All I can say is it's the way corruption is saying no more corruption.
Let's remember the pot belly. That's where everything goes. So, all the money.
So the spirit is holding the paper and showing the president, saying no more corruption. No, you are corruption itself.
Say this. Oga, say this. Say this. Bulama, what do you think?
Yes. You see, what you just said, Oga said he said he that's what the corruption is telling the president. This is really awesome cartoon. I can see, okay, he made this statement in Brazil. Probably that's why we have the Brazilian flag, so international.
Exactly.
I wonder what was going on in the head of the cartoonist, why he chose to make corruption looking so skinny. For me, I would have maybe made corruption looking so fat.
I get you, yeah.
You know?
Especially the tummy area.
Well, the tummy area is not skinny.
Yeah.
That's where everything goes.
For being with us for such a long time,
You know?
consuming everything. You know?
Bulama, let's do one more strip. This is from an international, or rather independent cartoonist, I think, for the Nation now. And I really like this one. I think his name is Fred, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Fredolution here. Now, this cartoon is a very interesting one that really depicts Nigeria and the use of the press for propaganda exactly as it is here. The chart being held up, obviously, if you look upside down, economic growth is flipped around, and it's made to seem like as if, well, we're growing, inflation is coming down, and that's what we hear every time from the authorities. But the true picture is often saved for maybe, you know, in the back room. And then the press. Are we complicit? Do we do the research to find out whether what we're being given by the authorities are absolute truths? That's where we come in. How much of our research do we do? How much of our analysis? How much of our taking apart the picture we're given and finding the grain of it? And of course, someone here being depicted with the hat. I'm not going to say who, because Bulama says we cannot be absolute. You have captured it? Asking the press. Is it good? And of course, the gentleman there propping it up, I don't know who he might be, but telling us that our GDP is going up where it's actually going down. Right. Fantastic cartoon. I loved it. Fred is great, and this is just fantastic. What do you think, Bulama?
Yeah, this is an awesome cartoon. It has a lot of things in it. So basically, the complicity of the press, or perhaps maybe we're not doing our job, investigative journalists, what do you call it, fact-checking, all of that. And sometimes, you know, we know these things, and but some maybe media houses or journalists are bought to spread propaganda or fake news or something like that, all sorts of things. So we have to do better. I don't think democracy can function. Good governance, we can't get good governance if the press is not up and doing and, you know, carrying out its responsibilities.
I think that sums it up. You've spoken well on all the cartoons we've shared, including yours, and thank you for such great artwork depicting life. We wait to see what you will bring to us this week, and perhaps maybe we'll be looking at it again next week. But thank you very much for joining us this weekend, and we'll be looking forward to next week, and maybe we might have you again. I'm not going to do what I did yesterday, backing you to...
Put him on the spot.
Maybe. Thank you very much, Bulama. Thank you. Now, Queen, I'm left with just you. I'm going to come back there because I think we have one paper that we missed out on.
Before you talk about this one, the one before was so interesting because, you know, the picture showing, you know, the graph upside down. I think they should stop showing Nigerians the graph. Show us the numbers. You're hiding the numbers. Be transparent with us. Use layman terms and just show us the numbers, and then they will know that it doesn't make sense with what they're showing us. But
yeah, interesting. I didn't note that, but you are correct. You are correct. And I hope that more cartoonists actually get to do this, depict in very granular form what exactly is happening in the society. That's it for the strips this morning. I want to say thank you very much to Bulama who joined us. And of course, we had fun. We're hoping that we can do this again with him maybe next week or maybe some other cartoonists. So if you find one that you think is very interesting, you might want to send it over to us for Breakfast Extra, and we would be taking a look at it next weekend. Yes, that's it for the strips. I'll be coming over, and let's start our conversation, shall we? And you're welcome to our first big story. Now, there's something that everybody woke up to yesterday. Our top story this hour reflects a brewing crisis in the fuel supply chain. The Nigeria Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers, NUPENG, has announced a nationwide strike beginning Monday, that's tomorrow, the 8th of September 2025. Now, in protests of anti-union practice linked to Dangote Refinery's plan to deploy compressed natural gas trucks for fuel distribution, the union alleges that newly recruited drivers were required not to belong to existing unions. Now, that's a move they say violates the Constitution's Freedom of Association, the Labor Act, and binding ILO conventions. Now, despite several attempts at dialogue and a joint meeting with Dangote's representatives, the impasse remains unresolved. With no workable solution inside, NUPENG says it has no option but to strike. The union has called on regulatory agencies to act and warned that without intervention, the action could result in widespread fuel scarcity nationwide.
Well, this is something we're supposed to talk about this morning with Mr. Ukadike Chinedu, who's the National Publicity Secretary of IPMAN, which is the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria. But while we wait for him, Mazino, well.
Yeah, so yesterday inside of my monologue, I said that once fuel sneezes, all of Nigeria catches malaria, and that is true. But I think in this case, it seems like it's being weaponized here, and it seems to be the only weapon that IPMAN would ever use when it comes to any situation. I'm hoping that Mr. Ukadike would join us so that we can have this conversation. Because my query is, are there no other apparatus or tools that can be used when it comes to the point where dialogue breaks down?
Exactly.
Must we always resort to a strike? Because resorting to strikes only just paralyzes the country. It makes hardship even more. Can't there be anything else? To the point about the unions, now I understand where Dangote is coming from regarding the unions, because once you have unions, and if you're outside the country, anybody who's got an industry or a factory, they hate unions because there's this thing about the power of many. Right. Once you put people together and they have the same cause, you're doomed. So not wanting them to be from any union that exists, especially with IPMAN, or anything associated with the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, you'd understand that he wants to totally separate his organization or his operations from whatever obtains in the Nigerian context, in the Nigerian environment, which is, like we're seeing, strikes. If he has any of these come his way in the way of strikes, that means his operations will be grounded here in Nigeria, but not only here in Nigeria. His focus is really not Nigeria anymore. He's importing petroleum to other countries, and he cannot afford to have that breakdown of operations when you are doing international trade.
So I feel like the workers are aware of that, so that's why maybe they're threatening to do this strike. Again, my question is, if he doesn't want them to be a part of any union, could it be that he fears if they're in a union, then they can come up and say, you know what, we want this amount, and that's it. It's a union, everybody's getting paid this amount. So I'm still trying to understand why.
It's not just that. That is also part of it, but the fact that they would be subject to whatever decisions are made by outside bodies, like IPMAN, for instance. So I work for you, but still, I'm still in a union that says, today we shouldn't drive our trucks. So we are downing tools, and that's going to affect
When you say that, I'm trying to think of the strip with the PDP umbrella.
The umbrella, the sabotage. Yeah, exactly. That's what it seems like. It seems like he's trying to ward off anything that might be sabotage. Right. But like we said from before, we're expecting our guest to join us, but unfortunately, it seems that he is not here yet. We are going to bring back this conversation because we feel that it is one that must be had.
The Nigerians needs to know the details.
Exactly. Fuel is very important. And we didn't even get, how many days warning did we get? I think this came out, this started to make landfall sometime
this amount
that amount sometime on Friday, I think, just before the weekend, and by yesterday it was all about Twitter and Instagram, people talking about the fact that we might be having fuel scarcity. Now what that further begets is the fact that people start panic buying, and I'm hoping that you're not part of the people who have
I just need to fill my tank, that's all.
Just fill your tank. Okay, that's good.
So I can get to work.
Don't store it, please. I, however, also want to note that there is a very interesting downward, not downward, the rate at which people buy fuel nowadays has reduced. Obviously because of the expense, but
Yes.
also because of alternate power sources.
Yes. Everybody now has like solar panels.
A little
and all
solar
that,
panel.
and
So
like, you know what?
we're slowly stepping away from that dependency on petrol.
And that's another way of showing that Nigerians actually, if you mobilize them, they would do better.
Yeah.
So they're always finding alternatives to, you know, save costs and all that. But the economy is not moving, and they are moving. It's
So it
sad.
also means that you are becoming your own local government, your own provider. You provide your own light.
You are
provide your own
yourself.
water.
You are your state of emergency.
It's not a good position to be in, unfortunately, but this is where Nigeria finds itself.
Yeah.
So tell you what we're going to do. We are going to continue expecting our guests, but perhaps maybe we'll have to move on to another conversation.
Yes.
We'll tell you what that conversation will be in just about a bit. Let's take a short break and see if we can have one last ditch effort at getting connection with our guest.
Yes.
Or we'd move on. It's Breakfast Extra. We'll be right back. And you're welcome back. Now, for the first hour here on Breakfast Extra, we have our first big report, a very interesting, well, occurrence inside of Edo State. Now, in Edo State, where a swiftly executive operation, or rather executed operation, has struck a blow against cult-related criminal activities. Now, the Edo State Special Security Squad, known as Operation Flush Out Cultists and Kidnappers, raided Obiwon Northeast LGA, arresting 9 suspect cultists. Now, though thought to belong to the notorious Eye confraternity. Now, weapons seized include 2 Beretta pistols, 2 cut-to-size shotguns, and live AK-47 ammunition, all recovered from a building linked to the local traditional leader, the Okaigele. Now, the community, reportedly terrorized by cult members, has publicly lauded the operations as timely and confidence restoring. Tensions have long simmered in the region, and the intervention follows mounting support and report of violence. Governor Monday Okpolo, doubling down on his anti-crime agenda, has commissioned over 300 motorcycles to empower security agencies and improve patrol effectiveness in hard-to-reach forests. Officials have described this move as part of a sustained campaign, not just equipping the system, but maintaining it. So let's take a look at the report from during the week here, brought to you by News Central.
Relief has finally returned after weeks of unease. Security operatives moved in on the community, responding to intelligence that cult groups were terrorizing locals. By the end of the operation, 9 suspects were in custody. Firearms, including Beretta pistols, cut-to-size double-barrel guns, and AK-47 ammunition were all recovered.
But we had a distress call that some cult members in Ome community, Northeast local government area, were constituting nuisance. On before this day, report has, been going around at these places because some of the neighbors have been reporting these issues before we swing into actions. And on getting to this location, during our raids, we were able to arrest 9 persons. After search being carried out immediately, we found arms that they used to perpetrate acts here. And some of these members are members of the Eye cult group. If you could even do your interview, you would see some of the persons were not just only celebrating, they were even pointing fingers at some of them that were really notorious persons in the community. So I believe we've done a great job, and Edo will be happy again.
Authorities say the suspects are linked to the Eye confraternity, a group known for violent clashes across the state. The arms were traced to a property linked to the Okaigele of Omi Osazuwa Igbinewaka, now declared wanted for allegedly fueling unrest. This latest raid is part of a string of operations in recent weeks, with the Special Security Squad intensifying its crackdown on cult groups and kidnappers across Edo.
We saw some Berettas. I'm not really a gun person, but the ones that we saw, I think those are not guns for civilians. Apart from the one that I usually am used to, the cut size, that the barrel size cut, but the other I think is a police kind of weapon that was attached there and some other bullets recovered.
Edo security forces say this is only the beginning. With more raids expected, the state government insists criminals will have nowhere left to hide.
There you have it, right inside of Edo State, cultists terrorizing communities, but thankfully the authorities have stepped into action, and well, let's hope that it will be better from now on. I've always thought that, well, most people, especially growing up here in Lagos, think that these situations are only things that we see in Lagos, but deep inside of the villages, you actually still have these kinds of, not villages, real, suburban areas, you still have these kinds of occurrences and people who are, it's the cult names for me, and the fact that they transcend into other states and communities. It used to be just a school thing, but now it's a community thing. And here in Lagos, it's a very prevalent threat when it comes to how cultists actually operate within urban areas. It's a big deal. Most of the urchins, street urchins that you see on the roads, they all belong to these cults, or one or the other.
I feel like my question would be, what are you joining a cult for? What is... I need to understand that the purpose is like, is it a union or is it a committee? Like the way we create committee to discuss. I need to understand.
It's a fraternity, and a fraternity would mean that it's
what exactly? Because if it now gets to the point where you're killing your fellow human being, then you're complaining that the country is not keeping you safe, and you're fighting, and you're seeing dead bodies by the water.
I wouldn't know the details because I've never been in a cult before.
Well, I'm just saying. So I'm saying that.
But to answer the question regarding why, I would say, well, people just need.
Scary.
People just need to belong, and especially when you find yourself in a situation where you are alone, like immigrating into Lagos and you have nobody else, joining a, in quote, union, or in this case fraternity,
is to keep you safe,
to keep you,
which will lead you to fighting.
Well, the support often will come with, hey, let's go get this done, but not saying that these are good things, but that's just a mental play out of people who are in these cults.
Interesting.
Well, in any case, we are going to do a short break now, and at the top of the hour, we're going to be bringing you the news. And our conversation for the next 1 hour is something that you're going to find very interesting. If you haven't seen it already, then you should have seen it before now. From over last week, we had a very interesting 60 minutes. Now, that's 60 minutes with Mr. K, the MD here at News Central, where he sat down and had a very interesting conversation with the CDS, the Chief of Defense Staff, and that's none other than Christopher Musa. It was a very interesting discourse, and today we're going to be taking it apart with our analysts and reviewing the details of that conversation. Stay right here on News Central. This is Breakfast Extra. Of course, it's Mazino Appeal and Queen Celestine, and we'll be right back. Good morning and welcome. This is Breakfast Extra, but here are the headlines this hour. My name is Mazino Appeal. Now we begin with security matters, where a swift security operation has brought relief to some families after gunmen struck along the Benin-Akure Road on Friday evening. According to Edo State Police Command, suspected kidnappers had ambushed a Toyota Hiace bus belonging to the New Edo Line Transport Company and a Toyota Camry at a sharp bend between Odemwingi and Obiwon communities. The attackers, who fired shots to scare passengers, whisked several victims into the surrounding forest. The State Police Public Relations Officer, CPS Moses Joel Yamu, says 16 passengers were safely freed without harm after tactical teams, local vigilantes, and hunters combed the bushes in a coordinated rescue effort.
The forest to ensure that these victims are fully and safely rescued to be reunited with their families. On this note, I want to appeal to members of the public also to cooperate with the police as we sustain this fight against criminality in Edo State. We will also implore the members of the public to avail us with informations that could help in also dislodging this particular set of criminals who have been disturbing the peace of Edo State. I will also want to share with us the strategies put in place by the Commissioner of Police Edo State, CP Monday Agbonika FDC, who has initiated the Community Safety Partnership, a partnership that seeks to form an informal policing system with critical stakeholders in the community, such that we can always partner to ensure the safety of our communities and, by extension, the Edo State as a whole.
In Borno State, not fewer than 60 people have been reportedly killed by Boko Haram terrorists in Dara Jamal area of Bama local government area. A source who ran for his life and is taking refuge in Bama local government council said the terrorists stormed the community and sporadically fired on residents and armed forces. Women and children were among the victims of the attack, as houses and other infrastructure were also burnt down by the terrorists. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Air Force jets and ground troops struck back in a joint operation at Dara Jamal, killing more than 30 insurgents, according to Air Force spokesperson Air Commodore Ehime Ejodame. And in more news, earlier our correspondent Umaru Kirawa joined us for an update on the story.
People being killed in Dara Jamal, also a newly resettled community, which was resettled by the Borno State government recently. It's also a border town between Bama and then Banki sharing border with the Republic of Cameroon. That axis is also known for the heinous acts of terrorists like Boko Haram and so on and so forth. But because of the relative peace that was enjoyed in the community, and the government has built infrastructure and so on and so forth, recently the community was resettled, and unfortunately this Friday there was an attack and 50 people are said to be killed, and the Nigerian authorities, that's the Air Force of the Operation Hadinkai, has also dealt with 30 of the insurgents. They say they have neutralized.
Now, in the meantime, at least 7 people are feared dead following a bandit attack on Magajin Wando village in Dandume local government area of Katsina State. The State Commissioner for Internal Security, Dr. Nasir Dan Musa, confirmed the late-night assault, which reportedly occurred between 11 p.m. and midnight. Preliminary reports suggest the attackers aimed to avenge the deaths of their members during a recent clash with the community, and that's the Community Watch Corps, who repelled the invasion. Now, a follow-up ambush targeted injured victims en route to the hospital, with a Community Watch Corps member vehicle burned in the gunfire exchange. Authorities commended the Watch Corps for their bravery and also pledged intensified security efforts alongside federal agencies to dismantle the criminal networks behind the attack. The military high command has dismissed the ruling of the National Industry Court of Nigeria that nullify a rule in the Armed Forces of Nigeria which mandates personnel to serve for a minimum of 15 years before resigning. It specifically said since the law that established the military, the Armed Forces Act, is yet to be rewritten or repealed, any personnel that joins must abide by what is contained in the document. The Director, Defense Media Operations, Marcus Kanye, who stated this in reaction to the court ruling, said there were different categories of personnel in the force. The judge held that every employee, including members of the Nigerian Armed Forces, have the constitutional right to resign at any time. Now, in more news, the Nigerian Bar Association has instituted a suit against the Inspector General of Police over the tinted glass permit policy, describing it as unlawful and a violation of fundamental rights. The association, at the pre-conference National Executive Council meeting in Enugu on August 23rd, resolved to challenge the policy introduced in April 2025 by Kayode Egbetokun, the IGP. The policy which was initially billed to take off on June 1st before being shifted to October 2nd, requires motorists to obtain annual permits for tinted glasses through a digital portal. Paul Ananaba, chairman of the NBA section on public interest and development law, said the directive is fraught with transparency concerns. And that's all the news this hour. We'll bring you another update at the top of the next hour. And now it's on to more conversation inside of Breakfast Extra. Stay tuned.
Welcome back, and this is Breakfast Extra. And now we talk about earlier this week, 60 Minutes with Mr. K, a special news central program hosted by our managing director, Kayode Akintemi, aired an exclusive interview with Nigeria's Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa. It was a wide-ranging conversation covering the country's most pressing security challenges. General Musa spoke candidly about the rising wave of killings, banditry, and militancy, which he believes are linked to political maneuvering ahead of the 2027 elections. He revealed concerns that armed groups may be weaponizing violence to undermine governance. He also floated a controversial idea, fencing Nigeria's borders with Niger, Cameroon, Chad, and Benin to check the inflow of weapons and militants. While inspired by models in Pakistan and Saudi Arabia, the practicality and cost of such a project for Nigeria remains a subject of debate. And on military conduct, General Musa defended the armed forces, insisting that operations are often delayed, adjusted, or aborted to minimize civilian casualties. He also raised questions about international laws that hold state militaries to stricter rules than the non-state militants they fight.
So this morning, we'll be reviewing the key issues raised in the interview with two seasoned analysts. First off, we have Devol Kore, political and public affairs analyst, and we're also expecting Mr. Dennis Amakri. So Dennis Amakri is a national security analyst and also security consultant. Well, for now, Devol, Mr. Dennis is here with us. Thank you very much for joining us, gentlemen. So I'm going to start with Mr. Dennis. I would like to know, from an analytical perspective, do you think, and I'm focusing on the part of that interview that had to do with the welfare of soldiers. I'm wondering, from an analytical perspective, do you think that the CDS downplayed the issues of soldiers' welfare in the fight against insecurity? We're going to see if we can play that clip. But for now, let's get your answer on that.
Thank you very much. Yes, I watched the interview, and from what I saw, in fact, what the CDS said was that their salaries are being paid, they are being taken care of, and they are okay. So I think he even mentioned that although they have increased the salary to 100,000 minimum, that is not enough. They are still working on it to increase it better. I think that's forward-looking. But at the same time, you see, it is like too slow for the kind of sacrifice that these people are making in the field. Of course, with the casualties that we're having, I think to enhance the voluntary army that we have, because to join the army now is voluntary. They are not forcing people to join, so no conscription. So I think for voluntary army, they should be able to pay them better than what they're paying them now.
Interesting. So, Devo, I'm going to take your take, but first let's check that clip out from 60 Minutes with Mr. K, where he spoke about soldiers' welfare with the CDS.
About 2 years, I think then a soldier was receiving about 49,000 monthly. Now that has been doubled. Most soldiers is receiving less than 100,000 now. It's still small, but at least it's better than where we were. And I know Mr. President is also working towards increasing that and increasing so many other things for us because they are doing so much. They are doing so much. And now you've never had any soldier complain about not payment of salaries or his allowances not denied. We follow up. Sometimes you see from the field, somebody will say maybe the food is not good. We find out what's really going on. Sometimes, again, because of where they are deployed, to even get food is a bit difficult. So we have to find the way and manner to be able to make sure that they are well fed. But I think averagely it's not bad. There's a great improvement.
Better than it's ever been.
Yes, this one's in the Northeast, twice monthly. There are welfare flights. We bring aircraft, pick them up, drop them. They go and see their families. 2 weeks later, they are back, just to make sure that we keep them going. They attend their courses, they get promoted, and so that has really doused a lot of issues on we're not.
A very interesting take there regarding soldiers' welfare and the strategy that's been put forward, or how they're supposed to work with whatever it is that they've got. Now, Devo, I'm sure that you saw 60 Minutes with Mr. K. I'm wondering how far can the poor welfare of these soldiers actually affect their morale within the armed forces? How can it undermine the strategies that we saw the CDS there outline? On the use of, at least getting soldiers to absolutely commit to their jobs.
Okay, thank you very much for having me. Having watched the CDS speak, although he sounded more like a politician, but he tried to put his best foot forward to make the army or our military forces look well run. I would say, largely and generally, our military are well taken care of. However, there are a few sore spots. First of all, like Mr. Makiri mentioned, the effectiveness or efficiency of their welfare, getting what is due to them as and when due. So we may not be hearing the issues of delayed payments anymore with serving soldiers, but we clearly are hearing the notable issues of our veterans. Those who either have been discharged, who either have retired, or those especially, remember the welfare is not just the soldier himself, but his whole ecosystem. So especially families who have lost their loved ones in battle or on duty, how they are attended to. And this is where the morale is actually connected. And I believe our military systems should, at this point, given the infrastructure that they have, should have created some kind of, with the use of technology, something that actually ensures that their database, because I'm sure they have a proper database, their database is well articulated and put into the processes that are kicked in once either you lose a man on the field, or he is injured, or the family, because we should not be hearing these cases, because it's such a blow to those who serve that the system is slow whenever they're injured or out of service or have retired. You can even see pensioners having to come up as far back as the Civil War till date, and all the issues. And then you start hearing different government organizations speaking from different sides of their mouth. I think these things should not happen. They truly send the wrong signal to the armed forces. And might I add that these days, our security architecture in Nigeria has taken the shape where the military more or less is the face of the security architecture, and the police are in the boys' quarters.
Okay.
So if they're in the boys' quarters, imagine what happens to them.
Okay. All right, Devo, thank you very much. Now, it's interesting that you should mention technology, because I believe that's where we're moving on to next now.
But before, we asked the gentleman questions, I would like us to look at the clip of when the CDS was talking about, the use of AI and technology.
Okay, like with the level of advancement in Europe, borders don't really mean much, even though some of them still have fences erected to prevent them. You've seen how we're using AI to do so much. Indigenous companies producing those things. We're now making our own drones. We have our attack drones. We have our surveillance drones. We have so many things we're doing. Even MISA, as you saw the exhibition, the stand of the Nigerian Air Force, We are producing our own, so which means that we have to build those capacities because technology is everything now. That's what we're doing, using AI for analysis, using the drones for our surveillance issues and all this. So we'll continue to develop them. There are some other critical ones that we're also trying to build capacity. Now, I'm sure you saw this, the signing of the agreement for the AfriDex next year. In Nigeria, at least we want to have an international setting. Instead of going every time to other countries, let's have everybody come here because we are trying to develop our own indigenous defense industry. And I think that is the key way out. From our experience, 16 years still fighting insurgency, one of the reasons again that where it's been prolonged is because we don't produce what we need. Sometimes even with your money, you can't get the items that you need to buy. So the frustration, also affects you. So what we're doing now is that Mr. President last year signed the DICOM bill, which has enabled us the ability to partner with original equipment manufacturers, buy some from them, then produce the rest in situ. We have started doing that. Now we can see, you saw what Profos brought, EPAL, and all these other companies, Imperium, they're all producing locally made APCs and MRAPs. That is much, well, as we know, contemporary challenges have to do with movement. Great movement of criminals across the continent. So as long as they have freedom to move, to conduct their acts, it becomes difficult. And that's why borders are very critical. Now, if you look at the issue of the summit we just concluded, the importance of collaboration. Now, these guys live from point A to point B. Now, if we're able to freeze their movement from all these points, then which means it makes it impossible for them to move. It is the freedom that they get to move these items from one place to another that actually, boosts them in what they are doing. And that's why it's critical for us to get to understand ourselves that as Africans, our challenges are one and the same, and that we need to collaborate together because the tendency is to say, no, they're not coming to my place, so what the hell, why should I bother? But from what we have seen, when Boko Haram started in Nigeria, we wanted to bring our neighbors in. They felt it was not their business until when they turned against them. And so it's always like that. So being proactive is very critical. So that for countries that have not started, they should never allow asymmetric insurgency to come in because it's a very difficult operation to eradicate because mostly you are dealing with ideology. And ideology is somebody's mind. You can't read it on his forehead. So I think if working together as a team, which we have all realized and have agreed, that it's very important that we're able to synergize our efforts together to make it difficult. So if you see somebody coming from somewhere bringing something.
So, Dr. Mr. Dailies, having seen this visual, should Nigeria instead be focusing more on AI, drones, and modern surveillance tools, as the CDS said? However, he also mentioned that Nigeria should also focus on facing our borders. What's your take on that?
Well, very interesting because I was smiling when I was listening to the CDS. He proposed that the 4,047 kilometers of borders between Nigeria and Benin, Niger, Chad, and Cameroon should be fenced. I think that was a very, very outdated idea, so to say, because since the wall of China or the Beijing wall, has been, countries are moving away from fencing. In fact, to put it in better context, when Donald Trump of the United States said he wanted to fence the Mexican-U.S. border, he tried to use it as a campaign gimmick, and he actually went ahead and tried to do it, but after spending $81.1 billion to fence only 774 kilometers, he has to give it up because it does not make sense. Right now, what should be on, and that's why I was very happy to hear the CDS saying that you collaborate with your neighbors. I wrote an article on The Guardian about this, and of course, we recommended that there is a better use of technology, and then, of course, collaboration with your neighbors, which will be cost-effective, and then, of course, forward-looking, not fenced at all.
So, Mr. Dailies, you talked about the amount, the millions and the billions that they talked about doing a fence. The CDS also mentioned database in terms of in Africa, we don't have the right database compared to other countries. So do you think they should channel that into making sure that the database that immigration has is, is the same with the police? So should we focus all the energy to having the right database so that it will reduce criminal activities?
Of data sharing. And then, of course, the security agencies already have these things. Nigeria, we all have all the database that we need. FRCS have driver's license database. INEC has a voters card database. Universities have database of students. All kinds of database. We have NIN, NIN, and all the rest, BVN, the banks, all have the database of Nigerians. What is stopping us from integrating all these databases so that, we can easily, with the press of one button, you can get a whole bunch of information about yourself. Queen, you can go down to ChatGPT right now, put your name in there, and it will tell you things that you never thought about yourself before. So we are advancing, and these things are very, very commonplace right now. Let us integrate our data, and then, of course, like the CDS was saying, we should be able to even facial recognition, and that is going to help insecurity across the country.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dennis. Devo, let's come back to you. Let's talk about what exactly is fueling insurgency, what exactly is fueling violence. During the interview, the 60 Seconds with Mr. K, the CDS actually said something very interesting. Now, while General Musa tried telling that rising violence, you know what, let me take that again. Let me play that clip first of all, and then I'm going to ask you the question. Devo, do take a look.
State between a state and a state. So the enemy is that state trying to take over these states. Now the enemy is within because your friend could be the same person that is dealing with them, could be the same person sponsoring them, could be the same person giving them information. If you notice, most of the arrests we have made of people conveying ammunition, conveying weapons and all these things are all from the communities. Most of them are into it. For some of them feel it is just trading. They're trying to make business. Some of them, for whatever reasons, they feel obliged to also support those terrorist groups. And without their support, it will have been extremely difficult for them to continue. And from within is because, again, they don't wear it. There's no mark on their face to say, I'm a terrorist or I'm an insurgent or I'm a bandit. So that's what part of the thing that makes it extremely difficult, because you can't go to a place and say you're arresting everybody. You have to painstakingly be able to make sure, because of the legal systems of it, that the person is involved. I can tell you, at times we want to go with an aircraft, we want to carry out the strike, but because they are within civilians, we abort the strike. So these are the issues that are prolonging this war. People from within giving them support, selling weapons to them, selling ammunition, selling fuel, giving them food. These are the people that we're saying that are also part. So anybody who is dealing with.
So there, Devo, Mr. Dennis, the CDS went on to attribute rising violence to the 2027 elections, the politics that we see in Nigeria. But the question now is, how much of it is also about poverty? How much of it is also about unemployment? Devo, please.
Like I mentioned before, the CDS was a bit political in his responses. However, we have to, this whole conversation with the military is all about the security of Nigerians. And there have been a lot of narratives that have been pushed out to the public, coming from DHQ, coming from the CDS himself, about what is the cause of insecurity or the delayed, protracted, the heightened insecurity in Nigeria. You've heard narratives like porous borders, which was why he was saying, oh, maybe we should fence it. Even though there are gaps there. He said stuff like ideologies that people just believe for one reason or the other, that they should go against the state. You have a lot of non-state actors. Now, and because of ideologies, you have the creation of human shields, which is why you've not seen so much kinetic implementation of the military tactics. And it's since insurgency started, we were hearing the narrative of asymmetrical warfare, right? And he now gave clue to one of the major challenges, which actually holds, it's just that we don't have enough time to break it down, when he said the enemy is within. That's a very broad statement, hefty and very pregnant with issues. And what that means is that this warfare or this battle against insecurity is not so much about shooting or about bombing, which they can't. As you know, our Tucanos were almost rendered crippled simply because of the human shields being used. Now, if you go down the list of issues behind insecurity and some of the things that he mentioned about collaborators amongst locals, okay? People who are supporting and ensuring that these insurgents or bandits or kidnappers are successful. But I think he stopped short of calling sponsors, because at the end of the day, I've always said that I feel there's some level of compromise within the security architecture of our country, and I'm talking about the nexus between government, agencies, and the criminality itself. Because for donkey years, we have gone on analyzing, even with the use of new weapons, the use of technology. I mean, about, if I'm correct, over 20, I need to confirm that figure, was spent on the buying of new weaponry during the Buhari administration, which is a good thing. But the point is, has that led to a decrease in the insecurity in the country? Now, with asymmetrical warfare, you would expect that intelligence, surveillance is in the forefront, because you need to actually get into the minds and hearts of these people to find out who is actually behind it. And that's why, to a large extent, we've never been able to come out with a concrete answer as to
who are the
sponsors, who are those.
A very solid query there, Devo. Very solid query. But Devo, let's take a break. We're going to come back to this conversation. Only this time when we come, I'd like to have Mr. Dennis take on this same question. But let's take a break now. We'll be back in just a few. You're welcome back. We're still conversing about, it's a review of the 60 Seconds Witness Decay that aired only just last week, having the CDS, Christopher Musa, as the guest. Now, from before we went, we were talking with Devo and also Mr. Dennis Amakri. Devo, you wanted to finish your point. Please, could you do that real quick so that we can get on to Mr. Dennis Amakri's take on that same question? Devo, go ahead, please.
Yes, like I said, the enemy within that the CDS mentioned spoke to a large extent to the breakdown in intelligence and surveillance within this country, because I think he was saying something to us that many Nigerians didn't understand. It's almost like a parable, because when you say the enemy is within, backed up by when Jonathan said some of the members of the insurgency are within my government, how come he didn't tell us who they were? The same way that we have crude oil being stolen in Nigeria on a daily basis, and forever we've not been able to get to the root of those behind it. Clearly, it's not the few barges that they've caught. Now, I just wanted to go through some aspects of that, of the enemy within. He spoke to social issues. And these social issues, even though the military is not the one meant to be speaking to it, it's actually an internal security affair. But he's put it forward, and it needs to be interrogated. When you start talking about issues of banditry, issues of kidnapping for ransom, cattle rustling, farmer-herder clashes, ethnic clashes, religious clashes, and even when you get to the one that we see on a daily basis, like the collaboration between the government and thugs, agberos. We see this everywhere, especially as the political season is getting closer. Even in Abuja, here in Abuja, you can see, in quotes, government agents who act like thugs in the name of collecting tax. Is that how the government is meant to work? These are all driving the level of insecurity in the country.
Okay, then,
and my point is, how is it that government is never able to use the infrastructure that it has currently to come out with clear, not just clear plans, to get to the square root of all the incidences that we get to? None of the cases almost get completed. At the end of the day, they've given you two names for those who were behind insurgents. Have they given us a background? Have they given us how the two captures that have led to is going to reduce insurgency? We continue skirting the issues over and over again. It just seems as if there's no end to what we're doing, and we need to we need to understand that, like I said, this lack of directly pointing out where the root of the issue is in terms of the breakdown in our security architecture.
All right, then, Devo.
Yeah.
Mr. Dennis Amakri, what's your take on this?
Very much. I think Devo has said it all. He has said it all, because when you look at it, we have a basic, to summarize all this, I think what we need is a political will. To political will to hold the bull by the horn. Because definitely we know. Like, Devo said, Jonathan said he knew that there are some people in his government that are supporters of Boko Haram, but he didn't do anything about it, And then, of course, recently there have been some confession in the public space. Baraje's confession is there. How bandits were brought into this country during election. And then, of course, there are the people that were sponsoring them, the people that were giving them stipends, have come out to say all this. It's in the public space. So when we talk of the enemy within, we're not going to talk about people who are selling kerosene or selling fuel to bandits. Those are not the enemies we are talking about. We are talking of the big ones. We are talking about the sponsors of terrorism, the financiers. Those people that have been collecting the big ransom. Look at those bandits. They collected 100 million, from kidnapping somebody, and then look at them. They are in ragtags. So where is the 100 million? Where did it go to? I think it went to the sponsor, who went ahead and bought an AK-47, which is about 400,000 naira for one. So it is very, very important that we, remove the facade, face the thing. We've identified the problem. Well, let us go ahead and solve the problem by bringing these people accountable. Those who are in government right now, those who are out of government, those who have been associated with this, insecurity and insurgency, and then bring them to book. Because if we don't do that, we'll be running around in circles, and then, of course, couching it with political statements, and then, of course, the problem continues for 16 good years.
Fortunately, we don't have time on our hands, and I want to say thank you so much, gentlemen. Thank you, Devo Okorie and Mr. Dennis Amakri. It was such an amazing time having to unpack these key issues raised in the 60 Minutes with Mr. K. With both of you, it was really an honor. And this clears the Nigerian security challenges. And we know that they are not only about weapons and militants, they're also deeply tied to politics, policy, and public trust. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Now, we have a very interesting conversation about to start now on immigration. Do stay tuned. You're going to find this interesting.
And thank you for staying with us. Now to a truly harrowing story that throws light on the dangers many Nigerians face in search of greener pastures abroad. Reports this week detailed the shocking ordeal of Mercy Olugbenga, a Nigerian woman who traveled to Libya in search of work, only to end up trapped by her employer, maltreated and repeatedly forced to donate blood against her will. Her story is just one among many, but it highlights the grim realities of irregular migration, abuse, exploitation, and the silent suffering of Nigerians stranded across North Africa and the Middle East. After a daring rescue and safe return home, Mercy is now speaking out about her ordeal, raising urgent questions about what drives Nigerians into such risk and how the system can better protect them.
So to discuss this, we are hoping to be joined by Mercy Olugbenga herself, Libyan returnee and survivor of this horrific experience. But we also have currently with us Mr. Abdul Rahman Balogun. He's the Director of Media Public Relations and Protocols Unit at NITCOM. Thank you very much for joining us bright and early this morning, sir.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir.
Thank you.
So, sir, Mercy's case is one among many. Now, what's NITCOM's latest data on Nigerians stranded or in distress abroad, especially in North Africa? Is there a specific number? Is it growing over the years or is it dwindling? Because it seems people still take this option. We'd like to know why, but first let's start with the stats.
Well, thank you very much again for having me and for spotlighting this particular issue. I will not say it's dwindling because if you bring in 10 people into the country, you discover that 20 more are going, despite our advocacy that the land, the grass is no longer greener anywhere. There's no job anywhere. People are just deceiving and then making money out of them because human trafficking, irregular migration, people are even making more money from it even than drugs. As at the last count, we must have, in conjunction with other stakeholders like IOM, NEMA and the rest, evacuated over 20,000 from Libya alone. But then, shockingly, we still have close to 7,000 in Libya now, stranded in various localities there. And some are still trapped in various homes. That is in Libya alone. We are not even talking of Mali. We are not talking of Ghana. We are not talking of Cote d'Ivoire. We are not talking of Ethiopia. We are not talking of UAE, Dubai. We are not talking of Saudi Arabia. We are not talking of South Africa. I mean, these are some of the areas that you see our citizens go for one thing or the other. We are not talking of Morocco, like that. So I hope that answers your question.
It does indeed, sir. Thank you.
So, Mr. Abdurrahman, my question would be, I'm just thrown off by the videos.
By the numbers.
It's really sad, and the numbers. So what specific measures are in place to assist the victims of trafficking or abuse once they are identified? What measures do we put in place?
You mean after being rescued?
Yes.
After being identified.
No, I didn't get that. Is it after being rescued or before being rescued?
In the process of being rescued, once you identify them, what are the process? What measures do you put in place to, once you identify them, what measures do you put in place to be able to rescue them back home?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it depends on the circumstance. Like in the case of the one we are facing now, the case of Mercy, it should be joining by now. In the case of Mercy, that's an isolated case. We have some isolated cases. We have some group. But let me just put you through the processes. For Libya, once they are identified, some of them, they escape through their colonial masters. They escape, and then once they escape, they look for our representative there in Libya or run to IOM facility. They have a kind of a deportation camp, and then once they are there, they have been taken care of, pending the time that all the documentation for the evacuation will now occur, either through a charter flight or through some humanitarian effort. For instance, Nigeria don't have an airline of our own, but we have some airline carrier who volunteer as part of their own contribution that they will assist the federal government.
Okay.
But all in all these exercises are being coordinated under the Office of National Security Advisor in conjunction. It's a multi-agency team.
Okay.
In conjunction with Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Interior, our office, NEMA, the DSS, and all the rest. They are equally involved, including NAPTIP, because mostly they are human trafficking cases, which are not really our core mandate.
Escape. Now, are you telling that most of these people who embark on these journeys find themselves in situations where they're actually captured and kept away from, well, regular population? Give us an idea of exactly what their lives are like and why they would actually be subjected to these kinds of treatment. Because the thought is that they are trying to escape Africa itself and move on to the I think Spain, if I'm not mistaken. And these are simply routes. So how do they end up getting captured?
If you look through it, like the case in point, Messi did not have passport. To travel outside the shores of your land, you must have minimum a passport. Messi did not have it. That's to tell you that they go through some irregular route, and then in the process, some are being violated, some are being molested through the agents. In our own case, she went through Sokoto, then through the Sahara Desert here and there, moving from one country to the other. I mean, changing hands through the agent. If this agent, Agent A, takes her to Sokoto border and hand her over to another agent, who will now buy them over to Algiers or Agadez or this and that. That's the way they normally move, by road, by sea, and by whatever means. If 100 of them migrated, maybe eventually 10 of them will make it. Others may die on the road or may face one form of calamity or the other. And that is why, because of the money involved, the money they are spent in, let me use the word, recruiting them into this modern day slavery, the agent will want to recoup their money, and then somebody already paid for that money, that I need 3 persons, I need 7, I need this. So some of them work in homes as a caregiver, some of them work in brothels, prostituting, some of them, they just, to use their word, they hustle about. And they have to pay back this money. If in the case of Messi, she was locked up in a room for 1 year. She did not mingle with anybody. For 1 year, she was locked up because they felt she would escape. Until, according to her, she paid a sum of 2.5 million naira or so within 1 year, 6 months of her incarceration. Thereafter, the locking process, they relapsed it. And then she was there for 4 years, 4 good years.
4 years. 4 years, that sounds like a long time.
It is a long time.
4 years is actually a very long time.
So, Mr. Abdurrahman, the situation of Messi is really alarming, but because of time, I would just like to ask you, what advice can you give the people out there who still feels like, you know, let me still run, Nigeria is not favorable to me? What advice will you give them, knowing fully well that these are the things they have to go through? For example, the things Messi went through for 4 years before coming back home, before being rescued. So what advice will you give people out there?
Yes, our usual advice is this. migration is your fundamental human right. It is your right to migrate. It is your right to move. But if you must move, move legally. That is how you get your integrity. That is how you get your self-respect. So do your normal thing. Do you know somebody came back from US, was deported from United States of America without a traveling passport?
Wow.
He went through so many rivers. And when he came back, when I received him, he said that a lot of people died on the way. Of course. So it took him 4.5 months to get to US border before he was captured again. So in essence, it's no longer interesting going through irregular because of the dangers in it. A lot of them, especially girls on this Libya and co route, they come in with pregnancy, they come in with children that doesn't have fathers and the rest. So we are saying that do not travel if you don't have your traveling document. In the case of Mercy, the mother sold the house for her to be able to go.
That's a very sad situation.
She was unable to remit anything, meaning that she didn't get anything. She was unable to remit even 1 cup of apple.
Wow.
Doing that for 4 years. So if you are going because you think Nigeria is not good, you are going to make more money there. I mean, you have to think about it. Then there's no place like home.
Indeed.
You have your freedom here. Once you travel there, you don't have any freedom. You don't have any. You are urbanity. You are not documented. Once you are captured, you go to jail or go somewhere.
Now, Mr. Abdul Rahman.
They now use that opportunity.
Mr. Abdul Rahman. Mr. Abdul Rahman, it is.
Before we leave.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Mr. Abdul Rahman.
so
It's the top of the hour already, so we have to put a cap on this conversation, but we would like to thank you very much for being on the show to actually give us these very interesting details about Mercy's experience and also that warning which you're reiterating that she gave only just last week. Thank you very much, sir. We'll continue to follow the instances that come forth from your agency and make sure that we also do our part to let people know that this is not the best option to greener pastures. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Now let's do a short break and I'll be back with the news. My name is Mazino Apil. It's Breakfast Extra, but this, well, are the headlines. Now we begin with politics. The New Nigeria People's Party has dismissed reports of Abdulmumin Jibrin's expulsion from the party, declaring the move null and void. National Secretary Ogini Sunday described the announcement as baseless, noting it was made by former state chairman Hashim Dungurawa, who the NNPP insists was himself expelled. He urged that a non-member cannot expel a sitting federal lawmaker. Sunday suggested Jibrin's refusal to align with Rabiu Kwankwaso's camp angered the Kwankwasia movement, prompting attempts to sideline him. Now, he also warned that Governor Abba Yusuf's loyalty to Kwankwaso could weaken the NNPP's chances of retaining Kano State in 2027 elections. And in the meantime, the Lagos State chapter of the All Progressives Congress has fired back at Peter Obi over his criticism of President Bola Tinubu's overseas holiday, insisting that governance continues despite the president taking a break. Obi, the 2023 Labour Party presidential candidate, had taken a swipe at Tinubu's frequent foreign trips, suggesting they give the impression that the president is growing uncomfortable at home at a time Nigeria is in dire need of his presence. And some members of the People's Democratic Party in Nigeria's North Central Zone are urging the National Working Committee to rethink its zoning plan for the 2027 presidential race. Party members meeting at the PDP Secretariat in Jos, Plateau State, say the current arrangement sidelines their region and risks creating fresh division. New Central's Chizobanyanwe reports that the spokesperson of the group, Nympha Ezekiel, insists the party must avoid rules that threaten unity and weaken its chances in the next election.
I shouldn't be discriminated because my party has zoned it to a particular place. It don't make sense. That's not democracy anymore. And we are appealing to the national. Please, they should reconsider their decision. Since we have a NEC before the convention in Ibadan, they should reconsider. We remain loyal PDP members. Our principal remains in the party. We are not going anywhere. We are working for the progress of the party. But we want the party to come out with a united front, with a united candidate that everybody will support, irrespective of zone.
To security matters now, where a swift security operation has brought relief to some families after gunmen struck along the Benin-Akure road on Friday. That's on Friday evening. According to Edo State Police Command, suspected kidnappers had ambushed a Toyota Hiace bus belonging to the New Edo Line Transport Company and a Toyota Camry at a sharp bend between Odemwingwi and Obanere. Now, the attackers, who fired shots to scare passengers, whisked several victims into the surrounding forest. The State Police Public Relations Officer, CSP Moses Joe Yamu, says 16 passengers were safely freed without harm after tactical teams, local vigilantes and hunters combed the bushes in a coordinated rescue effort.
Our men are out there in the forest to ensure that these victims are fully and safely rescued to be reunited with their families. On this note, I want to appeal to members of the public also to cooperate with the police as we sustain this fight against criminality in Edo State. We will also implore the members of the public to avail us with information that could help in also dislodging this particular set of criminals who have been disturbing the peace of Edo State. I will also want to share with us the strategies put in place by the Commissioner of Police Edo State, CP Monday Agbonika FDC, who has initiated the Community Safety Partnership, a partnership that seeks to form an informal policing system with critical stakeholders in the community such that we can always partner to ensure the safety of our communities and by extension the Edo State as a whole.
In Borno State, not fewer than 60 people have been reportedly killed by Boko Haram terrorists in Darajama area of Bama local government area. A source who ran for his life and is taking refuge in Bama local government council said the terrorists stormed the community and sporadically fired on residents and armed forces. Women and children were among the victims of the attack, as houses and other infrastructure were also burnt down by the terrorists. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Air Force jets and ground troops struck back in a joint operation at Darajama, killing more than 30 insurgents, according to Air Force spokesperson Air Commodore Ihime Ojadame. And that's all the stories this top of the hour. We'll go back into Breakfast Extra now, where we have more conversation. Well, let's take a break first.
Welcome back, and this is still Breakfast Extra. I'm smiling because there've been a lot of, smiling, bromance, and clapping and slapping for this conversation. Now, born Obiora Nwokolobia Agu on June 9, 1977 in Enugu State, Nigeria, Obiora, also known as Obi-Wan, his musical journey began at just 5 years old. Guided by a father who composed folk and classical music, Obi-Wan honed his craft on the streets and local hangouts, a promising musician with a secure banking job and a degree in agricultural extension from the University of Nigeria in Nsukka. By 2006, his debut album, Overture, a smash featuring the hit ballad Onyinye, prompted him to quit the bank and fully pursue music. Despite early awards, Best Vocal Male Performance in 2007 Hip Hop World Awards and Nigeria's Voice of the Decade, Obi-Wan faced resistance. Churches rejected him, pastors balked at his secular past, and acceptance into the gospel space took time. Beyond music, Obi-Wan is a graduate of Bible College and a fervent minister. He's also survived a near-fatal ruptured appendix in 2018, which he credits to divine intervention.
Well, here to tell us all about it firsthand, let's hear it from the horse's mouth himself. Yay. Obi-Wan is in the building. Obi-Wan, you are welcome. And all that slapping and, romancing that Queen was talking about was I and Obi-Wan actually reconnecting after what might be 20 years or so? We might have chatted, but we haven't seen each other physically in over 20 years. Because I remember, 15, it's been a long time. This was before Overture, if I'm not mistaken.
Really?
Yeah.
That must be with thoroughbreds then.
So here's the thing about Obi-Wan people don't know, and when you talk about the fact that churches actually rejected him because of his secular past, was that Obi-Wan was actually into secular music, and one of the people that I remember seeing you with was Il Bliss.
Okay.
So imagine being an apostate with Il Bliss and then being a gospel artist.
Oh my God.
But let's talk about the gospelness, if there is such a thing, that is Obi-Wan. Through the course of your career, your music has actually been one that sounds secular, but has always been rooted in gospel roots.
Yes.
Was that a deliberate thing? Were you still brushing this, entertainment is, I still want to be an entertainer, but I still want to worship God? How did you, iron out that dynamic?
Okay, a lot of questions.
I know, I'm sorry.
Thanks for having me. Okay, first of all, the rejection thing, I know that's been out there in the news. So it's not like, some people say, okay, we don't want you or something like that. But I mean, it takes a little time to accept someone. I'm in the faith as well, and we are asked to test all spirits. So it took me a little time to blend into being ministering around the churches. But that's basically because I know now that my calling is to minister more to people who will be watching this program at this time of the day. There are a lot of people who've shown me love in the church, and I have quite some brothers. So I wanted to put that out there.
Grand.
But let's just say the acceptance wasn't quick in coming. But I think over the years, God has helped me to stay focused on the calling, and it's becoming more obvious that it wasn't a business decision. I think
it wasn't a business decision.
Yeah.
But you have to, as a gospel artist, and this is taking it outside from just you now and talking about gospel industry, you still have to make a living.
Yeah.
So how do gospel artists actually come off making a living when, especially if gospel is their, is the only thing, their occupation? Let me put it that way. How do they manage these? How did you manage it?
If you've
I'm sorry I took your question slot, but
sorry. If you've been if you've been on social media, in fact there's been quite some should I say buzz and quite some trending gospel news as regards gospel music labels and gospel music artists and ministers, especially this year. And a lot of people have been like, oh, we didn't know there's quite some money, so to say. So the gospel is supported by the church, basically. And the church is beyond the building. The church is, people who believe in Christ.
Yes.
That's the church. So there are gospel artists who would tell you they have a fee, just like any other artist, for their administrations. And there are those who Basically, depend on the church supporting them however they can without having a particular price tag.
Right.
But I can tell you something. People, being a minister goes beyond just ministering. What you do, for you to be a minister, for you to minister the gospel,
right.
There are many ways you do that. It goes beyond just being in church. So you will find that there are a lot of artists who might have some other ways they support themselves while they answer to the calling. So some will be full-time and some will be part-time. So, that's basically.
So for me, I think I have to go back to... Don't worry, you're not taking my slot. I'm just to let you guys do your bromance.
Okay,
it's good to catch up.
But
I think for me, you used to work in a bank. I'm sure a lot of people watching this will be wondering, why did he leave the bank?
Yeah, why did you leave the bank?
So would you say it was your love for music or it was fate that made you say, you know what, I'm leaving the bank? And
That's actually a very good question, because when I left the bank, I wasn't even born again.
No.
Yes, I hadn't had the encounter with Christ to say. When I left the bank after my first album, became big, and it was obvious there was a music career ahead of me.
But did you think that music career was going to be in the gospel, or did you think it was going to be secular?
I absolutely didn't think.
Okay.
In fact, that takes me back to one of the questions you asked earlier. I didn't start in the church. I picked up music on the radio, on the streets, listening to Boys to Men.
Clearly, I can picture that.
Michael Jackson, and all those sounds. So I picked a lot of interest in music, and I discovered that I could write as well and sing as well, and that people liked it when I did that. So I picked it up. In fact, pretty much by the time I was about to leave secondary school, I knew music was what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. So if you listen to the pedigree of the kind of people I just mentioned that I listened to, you will find that their songs were more like love songs, songs that basically wanted to heal the world.
Yes.
Wasn't Oye a love song?
With a lot of vocal language.
Yeah, so when we were growing up, a lot of the music we listened to basically wanted to shape society, and so that's how I came into it, not because I was trying to keep the music clean. That was what I knew, and that was what appealed to me. But I also think that because of that, somehow God allowed me to get more revelation of Him.
Right.
I feel like it was more like, okay, since you want to keep it this way, there's more. Where this is coming from, there's a source.
Which is your heart was already in the right place.
Yeah, something like that. Let me say my mouth was in the right place.
What about your pocket, though? Do you think as a secular artist you might have made more money?
Oh, I think that's clear enough now. It's clear.
And that was not a strong enough.
Because even as a secular artist, I had a career. I was with management company, and then I had
Breads, wasn't it?
Yes, and there was like a clear path. And if I chose to even just basically follow the love songs path completely.
Okay. Now let's talk about the love songs. Onyinye was a big hit, and that was a love song. It was just at the cusp of when you now transitioned into becoming a gospel artist. I don't know how that kind of like panned out mentally for you, making that switch, because like double personality for me first off, but then again, hey, doesn't that always happen when you decide I have become born again? It's always a switch. Grand. Now you switched into gospel music, or is it Christian music? Now I say that deliberately because there's currently an argument regarding what gospel music is and what Christian music is here in Nigeria. Do you have any differentiation for these two categories, or is it just simply one?
Okay, I think gospel music, Christian music has had a nomenclature problem.
Okay.
Even before we came into it. I think it's always been there. And I think the issue is stemming from the fact that some musicians are dedicated to, let me use the word temple right now, like ministering in church.
Okay.
And inadvertently, in our time as music is an industry, you will find musicians who their calling is to be professional musicians, but they have a faith, and their faith is Christianity, and they want their faith to reflect in their profession, right. Just as a doctor might not say, okay, let me lay hands on you and heal you. But they are Christian, and they're going to apply all the medical ethics and practices to healing.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So definitely in our time, there are going to be musicians who are professional musicians that are out there in the music industry, and their faith is Christianity, and they have to practice. And I think even the faith will spread better that way when you have people in, everywhere, right, doing what they do right and representing God. Even Christ himself spoke in parables to those who couldn't understand the deep things. So that's why you have, it seems like there are Christian musicians, the gospel musicians, the music ministers. So I would say some of us would basically minister to the body of Christ. Some of us will shine the light of Christ to those who are not in the body. And the sounds and the methodology might be different. But if you're called, your fruit will show. By their fruits we'll know them. Not by their sound. That's what the Bible says, by their fruits.
So now about faith.
Yeah.
I'm a woman of faith.
Yeah.
You mentioned, people wanting their faith or, to show what they do.
Yes.
And we know that when it comes to faith or religion, a lot of people, they say when you're called, it's you God called. He didn't call you and the multitude, it's you, right?
I like that.
So whatever God told you is for you. So a lot of people may not understand why you're doing it. So I'm saying, so a lot of people may not understand that. Why did you leave secular music, or why did you leave, love songs to, being a gospel artist?
Yes.
So, well, it depends. What are you, gospel or Christian?
Well,
real quick, because she has to go on our question.
I'm a child of God who sings.
So, as a Christian who's preaching the gospel, so I feel like that's how, so there are some artists who would tell you this is my fee. They have a rate card.
Okay.
And then there's some people who would tell you God said they should not take any money, and then of course you allowed the church to
give me anything
out of their benevolence of their heart.
Yes.
So where are we going to place you? Do you have a rate card, or you're leading as God asked you to without having a rate card? Remember, we're coming from secular music into...
So I guess the question is, are you a gospel artist or a Christian artist? Because for me, it's about whether there's money involved.
I really don't understand that nomenclature. Like, I'm a gospel artist. I'm a Christian artist.
Right.
I still sing love songs. I lead worship.
Right.
And, perhaps when I was starting and I was at a point in time, I was like kind of religious about it. But clearly God told me, I give you the love songs.
Okay. So and regarding the rate card,
I know you want to know about the rate card. I will take that last.
Okay.
I will take that last.
Yes.
No, I'm not circumventing it, but I will say that clearly. Anybody who's invited me knows. If you invite me to minister in your church, I would rather follow the route of Apostle Paul, and. Sometimes it's a very difficult. His route is my calling is placed upon me as a necessity.
Right.
So I can't place a charge because of that. Right. So I see myself more as both a tent maker and a minister.
Right.
Because when Apostle Paul made tents, there were charges for those tents, and that's how he earned a living. When he ministered the gospel, he ministered it free of charge. So some of us, should I say, kind of hybrid, because you will have invitations to do things in the secular music industry, especially for someone like me, with the pedigree I've been blessed with and with the love songs. And then we also lead worship. We help churches build up worship teams and all that. And by leading, even though you've made me talk about it like myself first, but I just wanted to say that when you and right now we have to use the Bible as basis.
Right.
When you look at 1 Corinthians chapter 9, where Paul talked about how you sustain ministers, he first of all started by arguing that those who minister the gospel have a right to be fed by the gospel.
Okay.
And he really argued for placing a charge, so to say.
Yeah.
And he based his argument on the instructions he received
But I guess
from the Lord. And yeah, so when he came to him, he said, but for me, my consecration is that I'm not going to take a charge. So I felt it's important to bring that out, because we find these dichotomies that people say, like, okay, because you place a charge, you're not anointed. And okay, because you don't place a charge, you're more anointed than the other. I always say this: fruit. We've not been called to determine people just by what they say. Is by the fruits of their actions and their lives.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan, it's been fantastic catching back up with you again after so many years.
So there'll be another clapping.
I think we need to, but thank you very much for making it even on a Sunday morning when you should be ministering with your songs at church. You're here ministering to another audience. And it's great to catch up with you, and
it was an honor to meet you.
Thank you. It's an honor being here.
Yes.
I think I'm called more to this audience who's not in the church than the church, the audience that's in the church.
Beautiful.
Super.
That's beautiful. Hey, thank you very much. For the very first time on Breakfast Extra, we're doing something very different.
Yes.
This will be the very first time ever since we started that we'll be playing well, at least a part of a music track, and it's yours.
Yes.
I think it's called Another Love Story or something, if I'm not mistaken. Ladies and gentlemen, we've had Obi-Wan here for Breakfast Extra on our extra special.
Thank you, viewers, for staying with us. And of course, this is still Breakfast Extra. This week marks Nigeria's observance of National Nutrition Week 2025, themed Eat Right for a Better Life. It's a timely reminder that the foods we choose matter, not just for daily energy, but for long-term health and disease prevention. The campaign emphasizes balanced diets, rich in fresh fruits, vegetables, pulses, and whole grains, and urges Nigerians to reduce intake of processed foods, excess sugar, and salt. Its core message: healthy meals today are the best defense against chronic illnesses tomorrow. Nigeria faces a growing double burden of malnutrition, while undernutrition persists. Obesity and diet-related non-communicable diseases like hypertension and diabetes are on the rise, particularly in urban areas. Nutrition education, earlier dietary intervention, and mindful eating are now more urgent than ever.
Joining us to explore how Nigerians can use Nutrition Week as a springboard towards healthier living is Fawaemi Temitope, a clinical dietitian trained in prevention-focused nutrition strategies. You're welcome. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
You're about to teach us, so tell us how we can use food as weapons against bad health. Am I correct?
Yes. Food as weapons against bad health.
Yeah, I guess so. So
yes.
What must every Nigerian know? And I always like to ask that question around the premise of noting that the economy is bad. Our main foods are always the same kind: starchy, rice, eba, semo, everything. But what must we know as Nigerians when it comes to our nutrition with what we have?
Okay. So once again, thank you for having me here.
Thank you for coming.
Let's go back to the basics. Let's go back to the basics. I'm sure a lot of us know what balanced diet is.
Yeah.
We knew that from primary school. Okay, so we know that we should eat classes of food: carbohydrates, protein, fat, and oil.
Yeah.
We should eat our fruits and vegetables. Okay, so in real sense, if we begin to follow through with this definition of what balanced diet is, it's not just rice. What are our staples? In this part of the world, yes, we have rice, we have maize, we still have sorghum, we have barley, we have wheat, we have millet.
Sorry, what are these things you're calling now?
They are all cereals.
I'm making a point. I don't know.
Yes, because we choose not to familiarize ourselves with it.
Yes.
For Northerners, these are their own regular staples. Okay, so maybe down south here, we might not be so familiar with it, but they are actually available. Let's eat across. The change now is that we want people to start eating across the food groups. Let's go back to our roots and tubers. Let's eat our cocoyam.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay? Not just in our white soups, but let's eat our cocoyams. Let's eat our different varieties of potatoes. Okay? Let's eat our yams. Yes, the economic part is there, but I always say, if you do not, pay the farmer, you would pay the pharmacist.
Ooh.
I like that.
Mic drop.
That's it.
That's very nice.
So, still having on the line that the pharmacists are, of course,
very
people. Yeah, very important.
But still, I mean, taking care of oneself should come first.
Yes.
So wow, interesting.
So, Temi, as a dietitian, can you tell us how you would define preventive nutrition? Like, how is it important, and why is it important, rather, in reducing diet-related diseases?
Okay, we already said that from the very onset.
Right.
You said weapon. Okay, so I would like to see or define preventive nutrition as that weapon that helps to fight against diseases, infection. Okay, so the steps that you take, the routines that you take, the things that you eat that keeps you farther from diseases. So that's basically preventive nutrition.
So basically, it's food as medicine.
Yeah.
Exactly.
More preventive in this
Food
case.
as
But
medicine.
perhaps maybe the problem or what's missing is awareness. Perhaps maybe it's knowledge on the part of Nigerians. Yes, we did learn about balanced diet while we're in schools, but people don't exactly know what foods or what vegetables make you or give you so and so fighting chances.
Yes.
For instance, what do my vegetables prevent? What do my yams prevent? What do my rice doesn't prevent anything? I think rice is the problem. Rice is the problem of Nigeria. I stopped eating rice 3 weeks ago. I stopped eating rice 3 weeks ago, and I feel better because I have this.
Way.
I've been trying to get my.
So what do you eat your rice with?
Well, regular stew and assorted meat.
So basic 4 kilocalories of energy of carbohydrate. I mean 4 kilocalories of carbohydrates will give you 4 kilocalories of energy.
Okay.
4 of protein would also give you 4 kilocalories of. But when 1 gram of fat and oil will give you 9 kilocalories of.
Together.
No. So carbohydrate, 1 gram of carbohydrate is equals to 4 kilocalories of energy.
Okay.
1 gram of protein is equals to 4 kilocalories of energy.
Okay.
Now 1 gram of fat and oil is equals to 9 kilocalories of energy.
And
so
fat and oil I will find where? In what foods?
Your oils, your nuts, your oily fishes,
Okay.
you find them there. So it means that for you to have the same amount of energy in fat and oil, you probably need to eat, if not 2 times
more
of your carbohydrate.
Okay.
So it's not always about, carbohydrate is not always the issue, it's not always the problem. What are you pairing it with?
Right.
What healthy option are you pairing it with? Okay? So as an adult, you don't need more than 3 to 4 eggs a week.
A week?
Yeah. And then you sit down with your bread and then you fry 4 eggs at once.
No.
That's your name.
You are risking my risky burger. I had a risky burger yesterday and the day before, and it was 2 eggs to 1 bread.
See?
Okay.
And are you saying that that is bad?
Now talking about that.
Okay.
So let's go to obesity.
Yes.
So I feel like, you mentioned some things that you didn't know we had in Nigeria because you're used to risky burger and rice and stew. So are you going to say that it's processed food that makes people get obese? Or the fact that like Mazino now, maybe because of work schedule, the first thing he can grab is
bread and egg.
So what's your take on that? Do you think is the lifestyle in terms of Nigerians are constantly busy and so they just grab the first thing and then they move?
Processed or
processed
risky
food that's, making them
So
obese.
when talking about obesity, it's actually multidimensional in the sense that there's so many factors, not just what you eat. Okay, the moment you begin to eat more than what your body needs, there's a problem.
Okay.
The moment you eat and then you do not balance your energy input with what goes out, you eat, you're just there, you're just sedentary, no lifestyle, poor lifestyle, no form of exercise, no, you're not balancing what you're eating. You're so sedentary, you're not eating the gym, you're not walking, and then you just feed on a lot of empty calorie foods, sodas, a lot of highly processed foods. All these things begin to accumulate, and then you say one is obese.
Can I modify that question, your question? Yeah. Now, for people like myself who can eat anything, everything, and it not show, because trust me, I've been trying to gain weight. Am I still healthy or am I still doing damage to myself if it doesn't show in terms of my girth?
So, what is your lipid profile?
I don't know.
Do you understand?
You really don't know.
What is a lipid profile?
Okay, so you're eating all of these things because, as I said, I'm a clinical dietitian, and then it's amazing how people feel they can eat everything and anything, and because they are not
getting bigger.
Getting bigger, they are fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so when last did you have your routine check?
What is that?
That's that you checked your liver functions, your kidney functions to be sure that you do not have too much fats.
So if it's not showing outwardly, it might be doing
showing
damage inside.
exactly.
Oh,
excess,
and
fats clogging your heart and all of that.
So I had a very poignant story here. I had a friend who I think died at 34, and it was told that he died from a fatty, I can't remember the organ.
Fatty liver?
Fatty liver. I hate to use this as an example, but could that have been as a result of dietary deficiencies or over...
Okay, so as I said, it's not always a one fit all. Okay, alcohol causes this thing. Poor.
That's calories itself, not even alcohol.
Yes, poor lifestyle. Most of the time, or more than half of the time, most of us we work on our phones or on our systems.
Or in one place.
One place, just sedentary. We need to start making conscious effort to stand up. Someone said, sitting is the new way to die. Okay, so I cannot particularly say this is what might have led to the person demise, but I can assure you, poor lifestyle, poor dietary habits or patterns might have contributed significantly to it.
Okay. Interesting. Let's talk about culture and how it plays in. When culture plays in, what defines culture is what we do, how we greet, what we eat.
Yes.
Whether you like it or not. Your food's from Cross River State. Delicious foods.
Thank you.
Very
delicious. From mine, from Delta State. Ever tried starch?
I have.
You make it, don't you?
I love it.
Yeah. So you see that culture has also a big influence on what we take in. If you go to South Africa, you meet people who have this they're very well built because of their diet. It's very different here. So how much of our cultural influence affects how healthy we are from the different parts of Nigeria as a dietitian and from your experience? Do Yoruba people live longer than Igbo people, for instance? Let's not start another war. There's no other way to ask it.
I can answer that.
but do you think that there are little nuances that might also play in here when it comes to the diet and the culture?
So when we say diet actually starts from pre-conception, conception. So what are the things that we tell our pregnant women? Oh, don't eat snail. The child is going to be sluggish. Don't eat.
Oh, that's culture.
All these things. Meanwhile, those are rich sources of proteins.
For instance, we don't eat cocoyam where I come from.
Oh, why?
Something with the gods.
A major source of carbohydrates. Good. It's very rare that you will find refined cocoyam, because one thing that we want you to start eating is locally available foods. Foods
from the ground.
Foods without label. Foods with little or no processing. Foods, because even the foods that are processed, one major issue we have is that we do not read labels.
Right.
We just buy
and we cook.
Okay? So the moment we start imbibing cultures such as reading of labels, cultures such as listening to health advocates like us, okay? Because people just say, oh, dietitian, what am I going to eat? How do I lose weight?
That's basically that's all you guys are good for.
I strongly disagree.
Tummy fat
it's clinical dietitians in general, we have beyond that. Advocacy, we create menus, for individuals, for institutions. We give nutrition education. We're important in making health policies. The list is endless.
Does your diet have anything to do with your mental state?
Yes, there's actually a new baby. I don't know, maybe that's the word we should call it. Nutrition, is it psychiatry?
Psychology.
Yes, nutrition, psychology, diet and mental health. It's still in works, but we know that there are foods that you eat that help boost your mood, that help boost your mind, your omega-3s, your omega-6, your almond, your oily fishes, your salmons, your mackerel. Okay, these are things that you can eat that can actually boost your mood, boost your mind, boost your mental health.
Now that you talked about diet and mental health, there was somewhere I read that they talked about diet and is it your blood type or your blood group?
Genotype?
Yes. So if is it AA or this, you have to eat only meat and this. How true is that? Because really,
I can see the answer already.
See, do diets also affect your blood group and all that?
Or does it end up playing?
Yes.
Once again, my name is Temitope Fawebi. I'm a registered and licensed dietitian.
And I'm here to tell you that.
And I'm here to tell you that.
To convince and not confuse you
that there are no substantial research. Okay, we did a small study in my association right here in Lagos, and there was no significant relationship to show that what you eat actually contributes somewhat to your diet. But what we know that if you eat less of refined sugar, you do not take excess salt, you do not take excess fatty foods, and you find a way to balance your energy input and energy output, you should and you will most likely be fine.
Oh, wow.
Balance your risky burger.
Balance. I will take your advice now, and from now on it will just be 3 eggs per week.
Wow.
Eggs are delicious. They're quick.
Very quick, yes.
And they're healthy.
Yes,
they're
very healthy. One food that has everything in it.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's a whole chicken.
That's why it's a go-to. Exactly.
That's a whole chicken.
That's an entire
You've got labs and wings and neck.
We want to say thank you very much for coming with your great energy and giving us these advice regarding foods and diet and how it could help us prevent illnesses. Eat right.
Yes.
And also make sure that you read the labels, but basically return to the basics. A balanced diet will do you better than pay the farmer, not the pharmacist.
Yes.
Well,
I love
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for joining us.
It's a lucky stage because you get to say the goodbyes with us as we round up for this weekend. It's been a very interesting weekend here with Queen Celestine and all the many guests that we had through yesterday up
Amazing
until today.
guests.
And of course the viewers couldn't have done it without you guys. So thank you very much for being there. Join us again on Saturday next week. Queen Celestine will still be here with us and we'll be giving you a roundup of what the week was like from before. Until then, catch Breakfast Central from 7 a.m. tomorrow with the trio, Jonathan Hansen, Imodi, and of course, Borua. We're saying goodbye, but we'll catch you in little spots during the week. Bye-bye.
See ya.